Okay, are we ready? Fabulous.
Hold on a sec. Start recording. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ICT Educators New South Wales webinar on AR and VR and MergeCube. And my name's Karen Binns. I'm the president of ICT New South Wales. We have some board members joining us tonight, and Camilla and Helen are both board members. And Helen's also works for the CSER MOOC, and she is going to explain a few things that we're going to do with that tonight. And she's our main presenter tonight. So thank you, Helen. Welcome. And all over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. So as Karen said, I hold many hats, and one of my hats is as a ICTENSW board member. And my other hat, which I absolutely love, is as a digital project officer with CSER, which is the Computer Science Education Research Group, which is part of the University of Adelaide. So we have about 6 MOOCs online around digital technologies in the classroom, focusing on K to essentially 10. And we also have a lending library. So the presentation I'm going to walk through today is around one of our new MOOCs and our new lending library equipment, which is around VR and AR. So at the end, I will give you some information on how you can join our MOOCs. They're free, they're amazing PD. I did my Masters of Ed and I did the MOOCs at the same time. The MOOCs was better. So the best PD that you can ever get, and it's free. And also how you can access our lending library kits. So I'm going to start with the poll. Now, the poll is just for me to garner your experiences with and understanding of VR and AR. So I'm going to start the activity. You'll have a minute. It's a very simple, how would you rate your prior experiences or understanding of VR and AR? I'm also experimenting with Nearpod today and running sessions via Nearpod. So if you're new to Nearpod, it's quite an interactive way of giving presentations. So my view, obviously, as the teacher is very different to your view, but I can share responses, and I will be sharing just some data for the, sorry, I just got a message, some data on your understanding of VR and AR. So we've got 20 seconds left. Almost everyone has completed. 10 seconds.
What am I doing?
You just filling in the poll. So pick A, B, C, or D in the poll and then hit submit.
Do you have Nearpod up?
It says, welcome to your lesson name and...
Okay, so just type a name in or a nickname that you want to use.
Join.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've not done
and
this,
then join
sorry.
it. Yeah, that's okay. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
We're all very new to Nearpod ourselves, so the first time is a little bit odd.
Okay.
All right.
Our time's up.
I'm going to share.
So when Helen shares this time, it's actually on your Nearpod screen, not on the Zoom screen.
So if you're looking, I'll just keep looking at your Nearpod. If it's time for Zoom, I'll let you know, check back into the Zoom screen, but we're in the Nearpod screen. So it gives you an indication. 56% of us have had some experience with AR and VR or some understanding of it, and that's pretty normal. So what is it? What does it look like? So basically, when we're talking about VR and AR, particularly in the K-6 environment, it's around using technology to superimpose information, digital information in the real world environment. And we usually experience this through a camera-enabled device. In high school, we might look at using things like headsets, but at a K-6 level, we don't recommend this. Often or always VR and AR will need some kind of trigger image to spark that digital experience. So this might be through the form of a QR code, which is basically what the Merge Cube is behind me, a giant QR code. It might be something like what's on my t-shirt, that's a trigger image there, but that particular trigger image will, within a defined app, will create that digital experience and add that virtual layer on top of whatever it is in the real world. So looking back in our Nearpod screen, some real world examples. VR and AR is really making its way into the retail area. So these are some examples of what it might look like in retail. Specsavers, for example, you can try on some glasses on your face. Sephora, which I love, is really a great way of experimenting with different makeup colors and things like that. Ikea is another one that I've actually just used recently. I'm in the process of renovating my home and buying new furniture. So before wandering over to Ikea Tempe and, you know, navigating through that maze, we were able to try different types of Ikea furniture in our home and sort of check what it looked like in relation to our flooring and our painting colours and things like that. In the US and the UK, not so much here yet, but the Topshop example, which is the second one there, a lot of retail outlets have these AR doors or AR mirrors where customers can stand in front of it and try the latest stock on their body without physically trying it on. So again, we're adding that digital layer on top of a real world experience. Healthcare or medicine is another area where that we're seeing a big resurgence of AR and VR experiences. So AccuVein is something that's being used actually in some places in Sydney, and it's a way of doctors being able to find different kind of veins and blood vessels. Obviously, this second app is a UK app, and it basically points you to the nearest CPR machine in public. And then if you've ever had your eyes tested recently, they do give you a 3D scan of your eye and give you a kind of visual education, sort of, this is what your eye looks like, this is, you know, the things that we're looking for when we're testing your eyesight. So more and more we're seeing this type of technology influence our lives. The most probably prominent example you guys might be familiar with is AR games like Pokemon Go or the recent Harry Potter games. So they're things that have just, I guess, really taken a foot in popular culture, and from that we've seen this spawn of VR and AR entering other kind of areas. Now, if anyone caught the Apple session today at EduTech, John Landis talked about AR and how it has the potential to become that fundamental content transfer vehicle, you know, really giving our students real experience of abstract concepts. And I quite found this quite intriguing, because I think having used some VR and AR tools in the classroom, you can see how that particular technology gives our students that extra, you know, ability to explore something they might not get to explore. But I guess the important thing is, like integrating any technology into the classroom, it's not there for entertainment or edutainment, as John Landis talked about today. It's really there as a tool to enhance the learning. And some of the benefits of it include engagement. So kids are going to absolutely love working with these tools, but also things like fostering empathy. And we have some examples at the end of the presentation of some experiences that you could use with older primary students or even high school students for fostering that empathy, and also those real world connections. So making abstract concepts or things that the students might not get to experience in a hands-on real way available for them in the classroom. And this has been particularly striking with COVID and remote learning. Through the use of AR and VR tools, we've been able to give our students experiences that we wouldn't have been able to do in a regular classroom environment. So curriculum links. So in New South Wales, I've just pulled out a couple of outcomes here. I've pulled out mostly from the science curriculum, so working scientifically, One of the things that these digital experiences allow us to do, particularly with something like the Merge Cube, is science simulations. And so that really falls within that working scientifically outcome of observing, questioning, and using tools and data to communicate ideas. The other area where VR and AI sits quite nicely is around those digital systems and identifying how digital systems are used to explore data or transmit data, or how networks work. So the lesson could be around, this is a Merge Cube, how does it work? What is the network? What is the system behind it? That fits quite nicely there. And obviously within our ICT capability, we're using tools to investigate, to communicate, to create. And we're also selecting appropriate hardware, thinking about how we're managing our data. Okay, so what does it look like in the classroom? So there are different forms of AR, and I've got some examples around behind me. So we've got, for example, cards and t-shirts. So I've got my Curioscope t-shirt on me, and then there's a child one behind me. So that's something that a child can wear or an adult can wear, and it creates that third, that digital experience. Another great one for K-6 is this colouring in pages. So you can get books and things like that that allow students to have those experiences. Quiver is an app that has quite a few free experiences that you can download, get your kids to print them, colour them, and then create that 3D educational experience. Orobot is a globe, and there's quite a few of these available at the moment. So with that Orobot example, the student uses the app that's attached to the device and experiences, you know, what it's like in different parts of the world. And then there's cards. We also have a lot of VR and AR books. And moving on to the next one, sites. So things like Google Earth. There's quite a few new ones around things like Mars and planets. Nearpod, and this is why we chose this particular medium to do this presentation. There are a lot of 360-degree experiences and digital interactive experiences that you can share with your students in Nearpod, and I'm going to share some with you tonight. Apps, so lots of free ones available. Enter the Room is absolutely fabulous. In fact, Karen introduced me to that the other day. And I've since shared it with about 5 people, and it's an amazing experience, and one that really brings about that empathy for our students. Things like SceneCam and Skyview, these are all free as well. And then objects, robotics, games, so the Merge Cube being one, Kai's Clan robotics, which Karen will talk about in a little bit, and then games, and obviously environmental triggers, so through things like Pokemon Go or Ikea, etc. Now, the other one that we really want to try and encourage our students to do is this around this creating, and there are quite a lot of apps and programs available where students can create VR and AR experiences of their own. So Jig Workshop is one that's free and quite easy to use. Metaverse is another fantastic example that would be really interesting in upper primary, and Rebecca, Vivian and I are doing a webinar in a few weeks' time on using Metaverse actually. Tinkercad is quite a popular one, and again, Kai's Clan can tap into Tinkercad and Minecraft, where students create their own virtual experiences there. Okay, so if you're in your Nearpod, if you navigate over, I've just shared an example of one of the digital virtual experiences in Nearpod. You should see a skeleton in front of you. So I'll give you a minute to have a play with that, so you can move it around, you can click inside, you can turn it upside down, and you know, all sorts of things like that. So this is an example of a free digital experience that you can share with your students. Nearpod is free for teachers, so using your educator account, you can set up an account and you know, off you go. I've done this with staff at my school and with my stage 3 students, and they absolutely love using Nearpod. So I'll give you a minute to explore. And obviously, being the teacher here, I control the lessons. So when you're using a Nearpod with your students, you have complete control. So I can choose to click to the next slide, and that sort of ends that interactive experience. So it's a way of getting your kids back into work mode. So I'll give you another minute to have a little bit of a play. Now, at the end of the Nearpod, I've got some links in there that you can click on, and I will share the Nearpod as a self-paced session after today, so you can access it at any time, and the links feel free to share and use. Okay, I'm going to click over to the next slide. So thinking about all of that, I'm now going to talk about the merge cube. So the merge cube, if you're looking in your Zoom screen, is this thing here. It's this tiny foam cube. It's got all sorts of weird kind of silver glyphs or markings on it, and these act as QR codes. And this is the trigger image to simulate a virtual experience. Now,
I never got to print mine.
Oh, that's okay. You can, yeah, it's fine. It's all good. They're free. Oh, sorry. The printing is free. So you just click on the link and print it out. And then if you're patient, you can actually make a giant merge cube like my one here. Or you can buy them. They're about $20 to $30 individually. Or if you go through places like MTA, you can get class sets. They're new to purchase in Australia. They've been around for a while, but you could only really get them from the US. And Karen has a great story, because when they first came out, they were like super cheap. They were like $1. And you know, anyone who knew went and bought a whole heap of them, and then they suddenly became $30 each. But they're great. And like I said, if you can afford a class set, awesome. If not, you can just print them and build them, and it could be a great maths lesson there in itself. In print it out, right, let's make a cube. Here's the net, off you go. So the next slide is just the link to the printable merge cube. So if you haven't printed it, that's fine. You can print it later. You can share this slide and share this link and with others at your school or other teacher friends who might want to have a turn with the merge cube, and they can print their own. I find it's good to try before you buy. So it's a good way of printing it out, trying it out, having a think about, well, will this work in my school? Will this work with my students? And then if you're absolutely in love with it, which I guarantee you will be, then you can buy a class set or a few to have in your school. So how does it work? So like I said, the cube, it's foam, the glyphs on it act as trigger points or QR codes, and then when they're connected to the Merge app, they create that augmented reality experience. So it uses the camera on your phone, and it superimposes the digital experience onto the cube, and it's interactive. So your students can touch and play and feel and all sorts of stuff like that. So I do want to show you experience, but how about I go through this and then I'll show you the experiences all at the end. Okay, so that's the Merge. It has the two main apps are Merge Explorer and Object Viewer. Now they're free to download. Merge Explorer has 6 cards that are free. During COVID, they actually opened up all the cards, so you could use every experience on there, but now they've pared back. So there are 6 that are free, and then you can buy a class account or a teacher account, and that opens up all the experiences. There's a second app called Object Viewer, and that has just a series of different objects that you can use to create like a museum or gallery walk. I've used it with some of my students to create like the digital stories and things like that. Now, that could possibly ask you to set up an account. It never used to, but a friend of mine tried it today for the first time and said, oh, it's wanting me to log in and set up an account. Now, 2 weeks ago, that wasn't the case. So being an overseas company, they do tend to change things up on us, but the 6 cards in Merge Explorer have remained free. Okay, so these are the cards that I'm referring to, and these are some of the experiences. There's Mr. Body, which obviously explores the body. There's Galactic Explorer, so you can see the different things that are available. And they're really good segues into hook activities, into, say, a science unit around the food web or around weather, or as ways of reinforcing or giving students that extra experience of these concepts. Okay, so Merge Things is that app that I was talking about, that it's Merge Elements. So it gives you a gallery of different things, and what you can do is you can actually stamp those things in your environment. So if I pull up an experience, I can stamp it and it attaches it into my environment. And I will show you those at the end. Oh, when you get the self-paced version of this, you can have a go at doing this activity. So this is an example of, you open up the object viewer, you find the collection of cells, you pick the plant cell, you point your camera at it and stamp it in your environment. And the trigger for this activity is the top of the merge cube. So each part of the merge cube, each side of the merge cube is a different trigger point. Okay. Some other ideas. So if you're looking at space as a theme, for example, you can use AR cards. So our lending library kits have some already printed cards, or you can buy cards online. They're quite cheap. They're probably about, like, I bought this for like $7 for my son who's obsessed with dinosaurs. They're cheap. eBay, Amazon, you can get quite a few there. There are some places where you can print cards and just use them. There are VR books, so these iExplore series, I've got one back there on bugs, this one's on space. NASA have released a fantastic app called Spacecraft, and that actually allows you to stamp a spacecraft or tool in your space. So if we're looking at space again, looking back at the merge, the Galactic Explorer, you can see in the image here, this is what it looks like. So the merge itself, the cube itself is replaced by the sun, and then there's the elements, the planets that float around. So what your students can do is click on the different planets, and then there's some information in there about the planets, or about the sun, or about solar system, or anything along those lines. Okay, so I'm going to let Karen talk here about Kai's Clan. So Karen has done quite a lot with Kai's Clan, and it kind of merges or connects VR and robotics. Karen?
Yep, so we did a webinar, and if you'd like to have access to this webinar back last term as an introduction to Kai's Clan, so you could send an email to president at ICTENSW.org. .au. I'll put the email address in the chat, or the secretary email, Helen, yep. And we can give you access to that webinar. But Kai's Clan is a little yellow robot that, for all intensive purposes, is just a small cube that has a gripper on the front that can collect things and pick things up. But its point of difference with the rest of the market at the moment is that you can use a themed mat and code in that. At the moment, it's only Blockly code, but there are plans that for the end of next year that it will also access Python and or JavaScript, so that it can be used in stage 4 technology and beyond. And what happens with the mat, it becomes a virtual environment and AR. So for space this last semester, I guess, with my Year 6 students, we looked at space, and we did a lot of the NASA Journey to Mars set of lessons that are on the NASA website. So the science teacher did those in science, and then I did the digital tech in IT. And I taught the kids how to use the Kai's robot as a free mat thing, and then we took it into the virtual realm. What happened after that was that we used Minecraft to create, so they had to use design thinking process and create a Mars research station or a rover, a Mars rover, to explore the planet. And we culminated that into a Mars day. So they exported the structures or the Mars rovers out of Minecraft. They used AR to put them as QR codes on top of the Kai's Clan robots. And then we used the Mars mat to build that virtual environment. And we spent a day looking at each other's Mars colonies and giving it each feedback. And then we set up a scenario where the two classes that were involved had settled or created, settled a Mars colony in either side of Mars. And one group had something the other group needed, and the other group had something the other group needed, and they had to traverse the terrain on the map to get to the other side. And then to tick off a few more outcomes in the science curriculum, we had surprise Mars quakes and volcanoes erupting and some Mars red dust storms. So we managed to do all of that into one unit, and the kids loved it. So we're now working on year 8 with they started their lot today, and I did some PDs with our year 8 tech teachers. So yeah, so that's Kai's Clan. It's an amazing little robot that you can also pull apart and turn it into a water pump, so it's even better. It has lots of great aspects to it.
Yeah. And if you want to really see what that VR element looks like with the mat, so in that picture you can sort of see there's some QR codes on the side of the mat, and they're your trigger points, and you can see on the iPad that's sort of what it looks like in the digital space. If you check out that webinar that Karen is referring to, Bruce and Ronelle from Kai's Clan did some amazing things on there and showed how, you know, it all kind of comes together, and how you can control your robots and what it looks like in that digital space. So definitely worth checking out. I'm very excited. Can't wait to get my set in the coming year. So excellent. Now I've changed the slide, and I've so back in Nearpod, if you're looking back in Nearpod, I've just changed the slide to another experience. So this is what's called a field trip or a virtual experience, and this particular one is a Google one. So Google partnered with NASA on this particular experience, and it's around Mars. So if you click on that link, it will take you to the Access Mars site, and I'll give you a minute to have a play and have a kind of explore of the environment. And if you're looking at space, and if you're looking at Mars, and if you're looking at rovers or satellites or anything like that, this is quite a cool experience that you can get your kids to do, and it's free and easy and quite educational. So I'll give you a minute to have a play. Okay, 30 more seconds, and then we'll come back to the Nearpod screen. Like I said, all these links will be available later as well, so you can have more of a explore later, but it's just to give you a little bit of a taster. Okay, I'm going to change the slide now on Nearpod, and I'm now going to share with you another experience. So this is one of the 3D elements that are available in Nearpod, and again you can see going with our space theme, we've got the Earth, we've got the Moon, and you can move them around, and your students can experience, well, what happens to the Earth when the Moon moves, and the relationship to the Sun. So thinking about stage 2, when we start looking at night and day, and the Earth and the Sun, this would be quite an interesting experience for the students, and a good way of kind of explaining that concept. We would have done it in the past with the tennis ball and the torch.
Or even the overhead projector.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to click over to the next one. And again, this is another near-pod experience, and this freaky looking person is obviously the astronaut. So if you're talking with students around, again, space and what do we need to survive in space, and why do astronauts wear helmets, and all of those kind of cool questions that kids ask, this is a nice sort of way of being able to explore those ideas. You can hang him upside down and all sorts of cool things. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next experience. And this one here is obviously ISS. So if you're introducing the idea of satellites, or if you're introducing, looking at space as part of stage 3, if you're looking at, early warning systems for natural disasters and things like that, you can really like delve into ISS and why it's there and what it looks like, and all the different bits and pieces of it. And this is a nice way, again, of just giving students that visual experience of what it is. They can interact with it, touch, play, feel, all of those kinesthetic things that we want our students to be doing. And I'm mindful of time, so I'm going to move on. So if we're thinking about the human body, the Curious Got virtual t-shirt, which is the one that I'm wearing now, is fantastic. In fact, that middle photo there is my kids, a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, interacting with it. If you're looking at the PDHP curriculum, there's a lovely segue there in getting your students to explore, well, what are the parts of the human body? How does it work? What happens? What do the lungs do? What does the stomach do? What does that kind of look like inside? The other example here is the virtual book. So there's one on the brain, and then using the free app that comes with the book, the students can explore the different features of the brain. I'm moving on. So back in Merge Cube, Mr. Body, this is what he looks like. He's this really cute, human, and again, allows the students to interact with the human body, to click on that label lungs and learn about, well, what are the lungs? What do they look like? Mr. Body is quite cute, and we were talking about non-threatening for little kids. But, when you're working with your older students, or you're working with students that want that extension, there is another sort of older Mr. Body, that's the body over there, which is a little bit more scientific and more detailed, and so you can maybe start off with cute Mr. Body, and then navigate over to more scientific Mr. Body, and have those kind of conversations with your students.
Excuse me, Helen, there's a question. Is Mr. Body in Merge Explorer?
No, yes, Merge Explorer. He's in Merge Explorer. The other guy is in the Merge Elements one, which you may have to create an account for. You can create an account. It's easy. It's just, how much you want to pay, I guess, for the extra stuff. So like I said, some parts are free and then some parts are paid. Now, it used to be most of it was free, and then they've made it like 6 things are free. So it's just a matter of paying. Mine are, or I have an account that I pay for, so all of mine are open. So when I talk to different people, I find out, oh no, you can't access that anymore. So that's how I know that, yeah, I guess you just have to try your luck. I've just changed the slide again back to that initial body experience that I shared earlier. and I will move on because I am mindful of time. So another area that you can really use VR and AR to tap into the curriculum is living things. So this iNaturalist app is amazing. It's a combination between the California Academy of Sciences and National Geographic, and it's a way of exploring, you know, your garden and exploring different types of flowers and butterflies and bugs and all sorts of things like that in your immediate space. So I'm thinking here's stage one, when we start talking about bugs and we start talking about the living world. This is a fantastic activity that you could get your students out in the garden and actually doing this using this app. And these are all free again. So I've chosen mostly free examples. Here's some other ones that are very similar. Gardenia, Plant Snap and Leaf Snap. So Plant Snap and Leaf Snap actually are really good ways of identifying different types of plants or different types of leaves. I haven't used Gardenia personally, but I know other people that have used it and they said it's quite similar in terms of flowers. And I'm thinking curriculum wise here, tapping into those characteristics of living and living things and looking at the observable features of environment. So stage one and stage two. Karen, you've used the next ones, which are picture bird and picture insect.
Yep. So picture bird is where you basically just hold the phone up to a bird that's in the environment somewhere and it will identify it. So a bit like the plant ones. My students had a problem to solve that the birds in our playground were using the bubbler bath and water trough thing as their personal bathroom, and lots of parents are saying that the kids couldn't use the drink from the bubblers, and we can't in COVID anyway, but in normal times weren't allowed to use the bubblers. So they came up with a digital robotic scarecrow that they've built. So we use picture bird to identify the birds in the playground so that we could work out that pigeons are actually rock doves, and they come in lots of different forms and varieties. So they were fascinated by that, and that what they thought were crows were actually Australian ravens. And then picture insect is basically does the same thing. So yeah.
They're fun, kids love them, and you're bringing in those kind of experts. Actually, one of the girls that works at my school, she's a bird expert, and there's another app that you record like bird noises or frog noises, and if you send it into this app, they'll actually tell you what species of bird or frog it is. So it's another way of, you know, creating those connections in the classroom, those real world connections, and getting those experts in and talking about you know, STEM in that way.
And they've got a thing going at the moment where they want you to collect all the frog names or frog sounds and send them in at the moment. So, yeah.
And there was the bird count, the national bird count. So my kids will use the microbits, but that's a great way of, you know, bringing in that piece of technology for that particular purpose. I've just changed on these another experience, another virtual field trip. So this is the national park down in Canberra, and you can enter that experience and explore the environment. So again, if you're exploring environments and living things with students and are in a COVID situation and can't go on an amazing excursion, or this could be the lead into the excursion, this is another great way of being able to share that with the students and giving them that opportunity to experience something or see it in a different way. And again, you can probably, if you've got your speakers up, you can probably hear the sounds. You can move your camera around, you can look at the trees, what sort of trees, how tall are they, you can talk about, you know, the different parts of the, you know, the forest floor and the canopy and all of those sort of things. And you know, just great ways of, you know, using those teaching moments. I'm going to move on to the next experience, which I shared this with someone earlier and they were like, that is disgusting, Mr. Mosquito here. So again, if you're working with little kids and you're exploring bugs, this is a nice way of looking at, you know, the different features of the bug and, you know, its legs, and look at its eyes and, ew, isn't it gross, or isn't it cute, or isn't it amazing, or, you know, just a different way of giving them the opportunity to really get up close and see the different features of this particular bug or this insect. Okay, now Empathy, we talked about this earlier. So this is this Enter the Room app that Karen introduced me to. It's a Red Cross app. Do you want to maybe share some stories about it? It's free to download. I do recommend you download it. It is a little bit disturbing, so I wouldn't, like, it's not violent or anything. It's just the theme, the ideas.
It's about,
yeah.
It's about having empathy. I wouldn't use it below stage 3 for a start, and even I don't even think I'd use it with year 5. It would be a year 6 thing. Really good for stage 4 though, because if you have a look at the first window on your left there, it's this beautiful child's bedroom, and with beautiful things in it, and the child is healthy, and then war comes to the country. And you see war through the window, but you don't see any graphic blood or disturbing bodies or anything like that. But you see how the inside of the child's room changes. And so as you continue to look around the child's room, you will find that the window ends up being boarded up with the child's bed, because, you know, they're scraping for resources and things. The child ends up on crutches and then in a wheelchair, and there's medication on the side of the bedside table, and the toys are, you know, got all disheveled and things. So it's, if you're studying war, or you're studying effects of war in a country, or you're studying a novel where you need to look at war-torn countries, that's where this is going to come totally into its own, and the empathy. But you would want to have experienced this yourself, and you don't need goggles or anything. You just need your phone or your iPad or whatever device you can do that with, and a set of earphones, because the kids need to do it on their own and then come back and talk about it. It's not one of those activities where you say, hey, go do this, without having some structure of how you're going to debrief the kids about it. Yeah. But it's a brilliant app.
It's amazing, and it's really touching. And like Karen and I were talking about, you know, particularly connecting it to novels. So if you're looking at, like, immediately I watched this and I turned to, and I went Tomorrow When the War Began. Like, in my brain, that's where I went. But, you know, there's so much, and particularly in high school, I think, I agree with Karen. I wouldn't do this with students younger than stage 3, year 6. And in high school, it lends itself quite nicely to when you're exploring those ideas and those themes, and what does that mean for our students. Okay, I'm mindful of time, and I want to show you some of the stuff over here. So just a brief overview of our lending library kit. So the Caesar lending library kits are free to schools across Australia. Basically, you send us a request, we'll send you a kit, you can have it for a term, you can play with all the different things in the kit and then send it back when you're done. So I've just highlighted the kits that are appropriate for K-6. We do have some other VR, AR kits that are appropriate, that are more targeted for high school students, because they do have the headsets and the cardboard and the 360 cameras and all of that in there. But these ones are really good for K-6. So we've got the Merge Cube kit. So in that, you'll get 8 Merge Cubes, 4 iPads, and some lesson plans. And the lesson plans are exemplar activities that you can do in your classroom with your students. You can just pick them up and off you go. We have this Augmented Reality Kit, which looks at, includes a Curioscope t-shirt. It's got some posters, some flashcards, the iPad, and then there's some books, the VR books that I spoke about earlier, so the Brain Book and the Space Book. We have a specific space kit. So this one includes some cards, it includes some posters, it includes the book, the space book, and these little mini planet things, which are really cool. And our MOOCs. So we've recently released 2 new MOOCs. So one on teaching AI in the classroom, and one of cybersecurity and awareness. So a lot of the ideas I've spoken about tonight around VR and AR do come from these 2 new MOOCs that we've written and prepared. Our MOOCs are free, they're self-paced, they're online, they're amazing PD. I'm not just saying that, I genuinely, the MOOCs are just amazing. Like I said, I did my master's at the same time as doing the MOOCs, and the MOOCs was better. So this is the link to our MOOC. So you just click on the link and sign up, and you're free. You're in, they're free, and you get a certificate at the end. The other thing I'm sharing here is this Padlet. Now, this is just a collection of different VR and AR resources. So some of them we've spoken about tonight. Some of them are just other really cool apps that are free and easy for you to use. There's some PD on there in terms of Sue Carter, our WA project officer, did a session on creating your own merge experiences using CoSpaces. Jamie Donnelly, who's an American teacher and part of Merge, has done some amazing webinars on Merge. So I've included some of the links in there for you to access. And being a Padlet, it's open. So please, if you have any other resources or activities or suggestions, just add it onto the link, and it's just a shared resource that we can all have and use in our classrooms.
Helen, sorry, Helen,
Yeah.
we'll put the link to the Padlet in the chat because
yes.
I forgot to get that.
Okay, yes, can I do that in a minute? Yeah, okay. I'm going to, if you want to just navigate back over to the Zoom screen, I'm going to use my iPad and I'm just going to show you some of the experiences over here. So if you're looking in Zoom, it just might take me a minute to share screen. Beautiful. All right, so you should be able to see my screen here, my hundreds and thousands of apps. I'm going to go into the Merge Explorer app. Let me lift it over so you can hear me. And there is a little bit of a lag, so it might take a minute or so. I'm just going to turn my video off here. Okay. So, oh, there we go. Okay. So this is what it looks like inside. So you can see it hasn't logged me in correctly, so I don't have my account. So you can see how some of these are locked. But if you do have an account, and it's not that expensive, I think it's like $100 for a year or something like that. But these ones that are coloured are open. So if I click on that and then I click on, say, Galactic Explorer, I click on that card here. It loads, and then what will happen is it'll open up, and I need to have my Merge Cube, which I'll turn my video off, just in front of my iPad. And it's loading. And so what will happen is when the experience opens up, it will look for the merge immediately. So on your first visit, it will ask if you allow your camera to access the app, and obviously you click allow. It just booted me off, so let's try it again. Cancel, going into Galactic. Okay, let's try this again. And if I scroll a little bit down, you can see there's some quizzes that come with the experience itself. It doesn't like me today. I might try another one. Let's just see if that. Nothing here. I don't know. That's odd. I'll try one more time, and then if not, I'll show you Quiver, an example of Quiver. And for that, let's try Mr. Body. So if you were. I'm going to go into Object Viewer, which is the one that I was telling you about earlier. That's like a collection of like random objects, and you can stamp them in your space. So I had more luck with this one earlier when I was trying to share it via Zoom. So you can see when I go in, I have all of these different sort of collection of objects. So the activity that I was talking about was the cells, but I'm just going to roll with animal teeth, and let's go with this mouth. Now, there we go, got more luck here. So see, immediately it says scan cube. So once I've scanned the cube, it'll load up that object and overlay that over the cube. It's taking a little bit of time. It's just downloading. There we go. Loading on mine, so you should start seeing something on your screen. Downloading. Okay. I have random animal teeth up in 30 seconds on my end. Can you guys see the teeth up on yours? I'm just looking over here, not yet.
Too many people in the neighbourhood streaming tonight.
Probably. Oh, it kicked me off. Hang on. Oh, there we go. I've got to go do this again. Sorry, guys. NBN, isn't it fabulous?
You'll need to share your screen again.
Yeah, it's just doing that right now. So you should go to see. Where are my random teeth? There we go. So you can see the mouth. So I can, you know, hold it and stuff like that. So what I can do is if I click on this stamp button, I can actually stamp that there. So if I move my merge cube, now I've got this, you know, weird animal mouth in my space. Oh, you can't see it on your end?
No, we can't see it on our end.
Oh, it might just take a minute. So you can see the stamp button at the bottom. Why is it not loading? Don't you love it? Technology.
It works in practice.
It does.
Zoom is very competitive for, you know, RAM and attention.
Yeah.
And also, you know, internet speed.
Yeah. Did it work? I can see a mouth over here, but I can't see a mouth over here.
All right, now we've got it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So you can see it there. And so I've stamped it and my iPad gave up. I'll just show you Quiver as well. So Quiver is the download, print, colouring. Now with Quiver, it's generally free, but so some of the experiences are free, some you have to pay for, but they're not really expensive. So if you're you know, if you can afford it, great. But I've only ever used the free ones, to be honest. I've never had to, I just go in here if I can't find my apps because I have too many. you can see it's free to download. And so what will happen is I've printed this off. My students coloured it in. It's a volcano experience. So my app is loading. I hit play and then I hit on the butterfly and you can see my picture there. So I've just scanned it and now you should be able to see my volcano. So
yep.
This way. So if I do this, I've actually taken off part of my volcano and then the kids absolutely love doing this. So I start increasing the pressure and it's going to blow and off it goes, you know. Another great thing I love about Quiver is, just going back, is you can actually have some interactivity in terms of lesson components. So this is a quiz that the students can do where they have to identify the different parts of the volcano. So this one here, I'm guessing it's that. And then when you submit, it will tell you, no, I didn't get that right. Where's the magma chamber? Is it this? Okay, and so they get to interact with the content that way. So that's Quiver. I mean, there's different ones that you can do. That's just the volcano. There are ones that are a little bit more open-ended. So I've got one here where the students just coloured in their own artwork. I found it and it's made it like a nice easel. You can record that, etc. I've also got some of these cards over here. So I'm looking for the elements or the ocean one. Maybe we can try this again. We've got a little bit of time to see if that works. It'd be really good if you could see some of the interactivity. And a lot of it is just exploring and touching and playing. And let's try Mr. Body again. He's very cute. I'll try one more time and if not, we'll give up.
The good thing is that if you print your own merge cube and make it, you can go do these ones in your own time as well.
Yeah, I might stop it there because I'm mindful of time. I know everyone's probably exhausted after school and EduTech and all of that sort of stuff, and I want to leave it open for questions. So I'm just going to stop sharing here. What am I doing now? Okay, I will open up my camera. I'll just show you the last sort of few bits I've got to show you. So this is a giant merge cube. Like I said, I printed this out, put it up on a photocopier, got my U5 cube, that was fun. And then I've got a giant merge cube, so that's really good for whole class experiences. So if I'm demonstrating something to the kids and I want to see a big version of it, it's like, this is the normal size merge cube, so you can see it's a lot bigger, so it gives that bigger experience. These are some of the cards that I mentioned earlier.
And Helen, you need to tell them you made it with gaff tape and cardboard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the cards, so again, the apps, anything you buy that's AR sort of stuff comes with free apps. These are some of the Caesar ones that you do get in the lending libraries. These are free. You can download these off the internet. There's heaps of those available at the moment. This is Mr. Globe. So using that app, the students kind of rotate around and scan different parts of the earth and learn about different places and their features. This is what one of the books looks like. So it's just like a normal picture book, but you can see there's a lot of VR, AR elements in there. And then the t-shirt's awesome. There's a kid one up there, you can see. So you hold the app and the camera, it's up against the t-shirt and it shows you the body. So I think that's all. Thank you. If you have any questions.
One more app that we had on your presentation was the World
Oh, yes.
WWF Fund one,
Yes.
which you don't need the Merge Cube for, and you don't need Google Cardboard or anything like that for, but it will take you into a country village environment, and if the kids dam the river and see what the effect of that has on the animals and the environments that are surrounding that dam. And there's a whole heap of environmental issues that you can experience and ponder and experiment with and design. So that's another really good one, and that's a free app and fits great in with geography and some of the science outcomes in Living World.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at some of the questions. Metaverse is fantastic. It's quite easy to use. Like I said, we're doing a session in 2 weeks' time with Rebecca Vivian on AR, VR, and looking at Metaverse as an example of creating your own VR and AR experiences. And it's really, really easy to do, actually. Definitely something you could do upper primary, even year 4, depending on your students. So someone asked, can you create your own AR, VR? Yes, you can. So Metaverse is an example. Tinkercad is another one that you could do. CoSpaces is one that you can create some really great VR and AR experiences. On that Padlet, there are a few links to other webinars where they really go into how to do that. So if you're interested, check those out. Come to our season 1 in a couple of weeks' time. And there's lots of people online that really do a lot in this space. So I do recommend following them on Twitter and stalking them on Twitter and sort of seeing what they're doing and things like that. Jamie Donnelly is one that I mentioned earlier. So she wrote this book, which is Learning Transported, and it's all around VR and AR experiences in the classroom. Some of her webinars are on that Padlet if you want to check them out. I'm just looking at someone about, I signed in as a school, then it came up with contact a member. So sometimes that happened to me the first time I signed in with my school account, and they're just trying to, I guess, sell you a school subscription. You can just say no. If you want to contact a member, like merge themselves, on their website, there's a place where it says something like contact us, and you fill it in and then they email you. So when I've looked at the school account option, that's how I've managed to get in touch with them. They are based in the States, so you may get a delay in response, but they do definitely respond. Giant Merge Cube demo is awesome.
Helen, there's a question here about, can you create natural disasters in an app somewhere? One of the things you can do with Kai's Clan that Patricia Katsonis from Hurstville Boys did, that is easily, she ran an outreach program last year with stage 3 at Beverly Hills Primary and a couple other local primary schools to her. And they created, before the bushfires happened, and then it coincided with the bushfires, a whole bushfires one with Kai's Clan, because they have a create mat. They don't just have a Mars mat. They have an Amazon warehouse type mat, and they have an adventure playground for like early stage 1, stage 1. And but they have this create mat where you can create any environment you want and build your own virtual realm in there. But there's a few others that will allow you to build that natural disasters. The World WWF Fund, their one creates floods and things in it, but not fires and not tornadoes or anything like that, or cyclones.
Yeah, definitely. There's some stuff that you can do in Minecraft around creating those experiences too. So have a look at that too, if you know you're really interested in that. Particularly for that stage 3 level, you can look at how you can use those things. Someone's asked that is the t-shirt a problem with school uniforms in terms of wearing it over the school uniform? I guess my recommendation with the t-shirt is just really check the sizing. Like that one up there is a youth small, and it's quite small, so it just fit over my my son who's 7 and in year 1, and my kids aren't big kids, they're little kids. So if you can get maybe a bigger size, like a youth medium, depending on how, what age group you want to use it, or even the adult one, that might be a good idea. You can buy them through their website. And Curioscope, who do the t-shirt, also have books and posters and things like that as well that you can look into. Borrow one of our kits and then check it out and see what it's like, and then use it. If you're worried about, I guess, kids wearing it and then another child wearing it, you could just wear it over a chair and do it that way, I guess, to be COVID safe. Google experiences are awesome. Is it possible to use Minecraft with Merge Cube? Not that I know of, but creating in Minecraft works with Kai's Clan. So,
however, you could. Microsoft has now brought out SharePoint spaces. Yeah. And you can export Minecraft structures and things that you've built inside that into that. It's in beta form still, I think. I'm about to experiment with that next week, so I can let you know if you're interested in following that journey. We're going to use our Mars things that we've already built in Minecraft to see if we can create that world inside the share spaces. So watch this space, I guess, unless you want to but unless you want to journey with me or get ahead and come and do a presentation on it, that'd be very cool.
I was going to say Minecraft, Tinkercad. You can create things in Tinkercad to use in Minecraft, and that's right, Maria. You can export Minecraft to Class VR. I've just popped in the link to explore SharePoint spaces, so you can have a look at that. Yep, Sketchfab is another fantastic way of creating 3D models. There's a lot of other kind of similar apps again that are free. In that 16 days of VR AR Caesar grid, there's some in there that you can use and that are quite friendly for little kids too. Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling up if there's anything I've missed. Is there anything that I've missed?
I like Sharon's one. How do I get more hours in the day to explore it?
Yeah, it's a bit like that. It helps having little kids at home.
Christmas holidays are coming.
Thank you for money. Yeah.
The other really cool thing that I discovered through an Apple webinar I did during the school holidays is that Lego have an app called Studio 2.0, and you can create your own Lego fixtures in there. Like, it has every single conceivable Lego piece you want of every conceivable color that you might like. You build your own Lego thing, like the Roman Colosseum or a rocket to go to Mars, and you can export those and put them into virtual worlds as well. And that's very cool. I played with that in the holidays, but not enough to get my head around it before I finished with Kai's Clan. So it's on the agenda to work out next time. But Studio 2.0, go have a play with that. And especially if you've got kids that would rather play with Lego than Minecraft, go for it. It's free, even better.
And the other one I've popped in the chat as well is Play-Doh Touch. I don't know if you guys have seen Play-Doh Touch, but you can build, make something out of Play-Doh and then scan it in the Play-Doh app, and then it kind of imports it into this really cool digital world. So another way that you could engage your younger students with your K-2s, particularly if you're doing something about around the design process. Okay. All right.
So does anyone want to turn, if you want to ask a question, you can turn on your mic and ask.
Hi guys, my name is Ange and I've got a question.
Hi.
So basically for our stage 4 year 7 STEM immersion week, we've been able to create our own trigger and been able to use HP Reveal when it was active. And we created our own trigger using Photoshop. It's all about them. They have to share just a little bit about themselves. We use what's called flex tails. We paper folding, engineering, and then we use that as trigger to bring up their own video that they've created. So after that platform has died. I just wondered whether you guys knew of any similar platforms for us to be able to start exploring so that we could still continue on with that particular AI experience.
HP reveal. Not at the top of my head. I know Flipgrid have Flipgrid AR now, where you can connect to AR, like video experiences online. But not that I can think of off the top of my head. If you want to maybe like DM me on Twitter or email me, I can sort of ask a few other people that I know in the space and see if they know of something that you know, I haven't come across yet. But it sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it's a mega project, and we just offer so many different STEM experiences within that particular immersion week, and we share with, you know, we take our exhibition to our shopping center, local shopping center, and they support us with our exhibition.
Oh, wow.
And it's quite an exciting journey for all of us. But obviously COVID has interrupted all our exciting projects this year, and we're hoping to be back on track for next year. And yeah, I will look for you on Twitter World.
Yeah, we couldn't obviously have our parents come to our HSC showcase this year, so I know our teachers used a 3D scanner and created a 3D art world so that the parents could see and share all the art like that as well. That's not quite what you wanted, but I guess that might be an option. But yeah, we can definitely ask around.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, my PR team is quite busy just creating just even with orientation day, for parents, we're creating a virtual tour of our school.
Same.
And and it's quite exciting, but it's just nice to sort of know if we could continue down that particular section of the project, which will be such a shame to lose.
Yeah, Maria, I think it is Reality Composer with Keynote. Keynote's obviously an Apple thing, but if you've got iPads or Mac machine, Paul Hamilton's work. Paul is the one that introduced me to Lego Studio 2.0. But if you look up him online, he's got some amazing stuff happening.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
And if you do find anything, please add it to the Padlet. Like I said, I'm going to share this with everyone at the end. So it's
I put the link in, Helen. I found it.
Fabulous. And I'll share the slides as well. So it's just an ongoing resource that we can all have and just build up, and we have like access to all these really cool things.
And it becomes a community-based thing rather than, some of us only having some of that knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a public school called Carrington Public School, and they've got an art exhibition using Situ 360. And so you go in and you can see all the artwork, and then they've even got a shop so you can buy the kids' artwork as well.
That's cool.
I was actually in the arts unit session today in EduTech, and they talked about some of these amazing virtual experiences and things like that they've put together recently, and a lot of it's free on their website. So if you look up the DET Arts Unit, they're based at Leichhardt Public School. You can see, like, you can access them, you can use them. There's some lessons in there. Like, there's just some great stuff that I kind of went, wow, that's really awesome. So, and I'm pretty sure that was probably the one they were talking about, where they use the Stitch Preview to, create those art experiences. So yeah, do check that out. I'll just pop that in the chat, just the Arts Unit, DC Arts Unit. If you just Google that, you should be able to find it.
And can I just ask about Paul Hamilton that you guys mentioned? I'm just trying to look for him on Twitter. Is he a teacher at, I don't know.
He's Victorian based.
CHS History, I don't know, Legal Studies, Strath Ed D. Does it ring any bell for anyone?
Hold on, I'll go looking for him.
He's working for you using technology better this year?
Yeah.
Is that the one you mean?
He is.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
he's
he's got
actually,
the If I Were a Wizard and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
Paul Hamilton's YouTube channel is really good too.
Do you want to put a link in there for us in the chat, please?
I'll see if I can.
I did. I just
So
got all
his Twitter handle is his Twitter name is at Paul Hamilton 8.
Yeah.
Yep, I just found it. Yeah.
He runs course before COVID. He had courses he was running up in Brisbane. But anyway, he does cool stuff.
Yeah, I've just popped his site into the chat as well. So. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? I can't remember what they were in the form, Karen. If there were any forms.
No, and I shut a lot of that down to save bandwidth on my computer.
Yeah.
It's full of musical stuff.
If you do think of any questions, feel free to just send us an email. You can just email. I answer the secretary one at ICT. And do check out some of the resources.
Paul Hamilton's YouTube channel's on the link that Helen shared on the top is all his social media
Great. Okay.
links. So that's just handy. It's all in one spot.
Well, I'm going to close the formal part of this meeting to an end so I can stop the recording, but feel free to hang around afterwards. So thanks everyone for coming. Thanks so much, Helen, for your knowledge, your expertise, and for sharing everything. Really appreciate all your effort and your time and the value that you add, not just to the board of our association, but to the association as a whole. So thank you very much for tonight.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone. I'm just popping this in.